Hello everyone. Today we'll be moving forward to Unit 2, the emergence of regional powers, where we will be focusing, as you can see on map, the Greco-Bactrian kingdom as well as Satavahana Empire, and in between both of them there would also be Saka Kshatrapas. While talking about regional powers, it's important to understand what do you mean by regional powers? They are the influential states with significant economical, political, and military capabilities that shape their respective regions and impact the global order. As you can see, all over Indian subcontinent, not only India, we had the rule of foreigners as well as the Indians whose origin was actually Indian. In this chapter, we'll be moving towards the discussion of Indo-Greeks, Saka Kshatrapas, and Satavahanas. You all might remember the discussion of Shungas, Indo-Parthians, as well as Kushanas in the previous chapter. This chapter we'll be first focusing on Indo-Greeks who controlled northwestern as well as a minor western part of India. Talking about Indo-Greeks, it's important to understand that before coming to India, they had a solid control over Bactria. They had taken that control from Alexander, and it was Diodotus I who revolted against the Seleucids and established an independent Bactrian kingdom. You should also remember that the ideal geographical location of Bactria connecting West Asia as well as Central Asia and also South Asia was the main reason responsible for the rise of Greco-Bactrian kingdom. Soon after controlling Bactria, they started moving towards south of Hindu Kush, which was actually an extension towards northwest India, thus giving them the route to control as well as reign. That's how the Indo-Bactrians, or as we call them, the Indo-Greeks, came to exist. The second thing that's important to understand is that the Bactrian kings ruled over the parts of northwest India between the 2nd century BCE and the early 1st century CE. Their history is largely reconstructed on the basis of their coins. One of the most important feature or contribution towards India as well as Indian historical art is the formation of Gandhara School of Art, which was one of the most eminent ancient art schools of Indian subcontinent. Moving forward, we'll be discussing the importance of numismatics because the whole history of Indo-Greeks has been established through the coins that they issued or that were issued by their rulers. When the Greeks came to rule, they also brought with them the different characteristics of coins. Due to that, it was the first time when the south of Hindu Kush experienced die-struck coinage, portraiture, and legend. Some of the rulers are also present in Greek and Latin sources, most probably the book that is written in Latin, known as Philippic Histories of Pompeius Trogus. There are also a few mentions of Bactrian history in the works by Diodorus, Polybius, or Strabo. It is important to know that the presence of large number of rulers in a short span of time actually suggests that some of them would have ruled concurrently. Concurrently specifically means together. They would have actually controlled the region together, like Indo-Scythians followed. It is also important to know that out of 42 kings, 34 have been known only through coins. There is no literary reference or any name of these kings. The sequence of the kings, which has been proposed by a lot of scholars, is based on the composition of hoards. Hoards means the coins that have been found over strikes. Over strikes actually mean when one particular king kind of, you can say, strike his own coins on other coins kings. Maybe one king had the authority at particular point of time, but his successor used the same coins and might have overstruck them with his own image or with his own beliefs. Also through monogram patterns and geographical distribution of coins. The geographical distribution of coins is also important because it might have also helped us to consider the geographical extent of the rule of a particular king. What is also important is that Demetrius I, Demetrius II, Apollodotus, Pantaleon, and Agathocles. These were some of the only kings who extended their rule to the south of Hindu Kush into the northwestern India. The coins of the Greco-Bactrians, which circulated in the region, were mostly in gold, silver, copper, and nickel, and they followed the Attic weight standard. One of the unique features of Greek coins is that some of them actually have a Brahmi script written on the coins with the language of Prakrit, and sometimes they had Greek language on the reverse and Brahmi script on the obverse. After that, we'll be moving towards one of the most important ruler of Greeks, that was Menander, and s- to to some extent, some of the things that are really important about the Greeks' rule has been under his reign. When we talk about Menander, there are three things to keep in mind. First, that he surpassed all the Indo Greek kings who ruled before and after him in the subcontinent, not only by the number of coins, but also by the number of different dies and monograms for both silver and bronze coins. Secondly, in all the public and private collections worldwide, and in the recent coin hoards, the quantity of his coins is far more superior than any of his Greek contemporaries. Thirdly, he was the he's the only Greek king who is actually represented in Indian literature. Of course, the authors that we first mentioned, that was Pompeius and Strabo, refer to Menander. He is also indicated as a Bactrian king by Trogus, and he refers to his Indian activities. In Indian literature, the historical background of Menander could be reconstructed from Milindapana, which contains his discussions with the Buddhist monk Nagasena and the coins. The Pali version of Milindapana suggests that he was born in a place called Kala Sigama, Begra, in a Kavisi region. The text also states that his capital was Sagla, identified generally with Sialkot in Pakistan. There is also explanation about a particular region called Caucasus, which was where he actually had his accession to the throne. After that, he enhanced his power base. And when we talk about his enhancement, one of the first things is about the assistance from his wife, Agathos Leah. She was taken to be the queen of Menander, and her son, Strato I, ruled in the Gandhara region. Agathos Leah acted as a regent to her minor son Strato I upon the death of Menander. It is important to note that when Strato I came to rule, there are evidences that different rulers in south of Hindu Kush, that is Lysias, Antial-Sidas, and Heliocles too, were also ruling in different regions and were trying and fighting against each other for more control. For instance, All the monograms that were used by Strato 1 were also used by Heliocles too, which appears he took control of his mints as well as his territories. Though the succeeded Indo Greek rulers had a very short span of the rule, there were a total of 10 rulers within a small span of 15 years within India, which shows that the political instability was on higher extent. The Indo Greek rule over Gandhara came to an end due to the conflicts with Parthians and Shakas, and their control over the area to the Jhelum, especially the east of the Jhelum, ended in the late 1st century BCE or early 1st century CE with their defeat at the hands of Kshatrapa ruler Rajuvula. And with that, we'll begin the discussion about Saka Kshatrapas of Western India. If you can form a mind map, you will understand that just below the Indo-Greek region there were Saka Kshatrapas who were considered as viceroys under whom? Under Scytho-Parthians. Majorly they controlled parts of western India, the Gujarat area, Saurashtra region, and Malwa region during the post-modern times. Now, what is interesting about Saka Kshatrapas is that there were two different lines of Kshatrapa rulers, the Kshaharatas and Kardamakas. When we talk about Kshaharata family, we have only known two rulers, Bhumaka and Nahapana. But according to the coins found from different regions, Aghudaka or we can say Abhidaka has also been connected to them. Furthermore, the coins of Abhidaka or Aghudaka with legends in Brahmi and Kharoshti have been found in coastal Gujarat and some in Malwa as well as Ajmer. Now, Bhumaka was immediately succeeded by Nahapana. Why do we say that? Because his copper coins were of the same type as issued by Bhumaka. Now, one of the most important, or you can say the most popular ruler of Saka Kshatrapa and belonging to the line of Kshaharatas was Nahapana. Because Nahapana is one of the only rulers who is not only known by the coins but also by other evidences like an inscription, the Nasik inscription, which records his hold over Bhrigu Kacha, that is present day Baroch in Gujarat, Daspura, that is present day Mandsaur in western MP, Surparaka, that is present day Sopara, a suburb of Mumbai, and Govardhana, which was present in Nasik. We can say Nahapana has been credited for expanding the rule of Saka Kshatrapas. When we talk about Nahapana's expansion, what is important to understand is the conflict between Sakas and Satavahanas due to the access to the western seaboard, which frequently changed hands of control between Satavahanas and Sakas, and all the regions that I have talked might have been under control of Sakas before, but were at some point of time transferred under the Satavahana rulers. And the major Satavahana ruler, as you might know, is Gautamiputra Satakarni. During his rule only, he was the one who wrested control of southern territories of Kshaharata kingdom. Other than that, and that is the only time when he might have been killed by Satavahana ruler. Other than that, what is important to underline is that during the later years of Nahapana, his nemesis Shashtana, who belonged to the Kardamaka family, appeared in the scene. We find the evidence of the Kardamaka family through an inscription found in Kanheri, where the daughter of Rudradaman, who was Chashtana's grandson. So, the daughter of Rudradaman, who was the queen of Vashishtiputra Satakarni, mentions herself as having been born in the Kardamaka family. That's how we know that from the another Akshatrapa ruler which belonged to the another line, that is the Kardamaka family. What is more important is to understand that Chashtana was ruling in Western India conjointly with his grandson Rudradaman I in Saka era 52. That translates to 130 CE, which is actually known from Andhau inscription coming from Western Gujarat. Surprisingly, Chashtana is also referred to as Tiasthenes in Ptolemy's geography, and he is said to have his capital at Ujjaini in Avanti. Furthermore, Rudradaman I was the most important ruler of Kardamaka family, who was grandson of Chashtana. When we talk about his contributions, we majorly talk about the major expansion that he followed after succeeding and coming to the rule. There is actually the evidence through the famous inscription from Junagadh. First of all, he assumed the title of Mahakshatrapa, which actually, directly exudes a lot of political power than that of an ordinary Kshatrapa. Moreover, Rudradaman established his power over Saurashtra that we discussed before, Swabhara. It was actually on the banks of river Sabarmati, Kutch, even Sindhu Savira. He also expanded it towards lower Indus Valley and even located some of his control between Vindhya as well as Paripatra mountains. What is surprising to know is that the areas that we have discussed, ranging from Indus to Saurashtra, were actually first conquered by Satavahanas. They were under Satavahanas, but now they were reconquered by Rudradaman. It is believed that it was Rudradaman I who defeated Satakarni twice, who is actually, as we'll be studying ahead, one of the most important rulers of Satavahana ruler. There is also one inscription from Kanheri which informs us that the Satavahana king Vashishtiputra Satakarni married the daughter of Mahakshatrapa Ru. This is the second inscription that's coming. Remember the first inscription, which is the only evidence that tells us about the presence of Chashtana. Remember, we actually just discussed about the inscription at Kanheri, which belonged to the daughter of Rudradaman. This is the same one. Furthermore, the Junagadh Prashasti of Rudradaman I also throws some light on the diversified revenue demands of the state. It describes treasury, like, there were a lot of overflow of metals like gold, silver, and gems, which kind of actually tells us that the trading situation at that point of time was impressively positive. But the successes of Rudradaman could not keep his entire territory intact, but of course retained their independent position. They again became the common Akshatrapas, which were actually the Akshatrapas were known for. This actually ends our discussion about Saka Kshatrapas as well as Indo-Greeks. Here we discussed about the emergence of regional powers in Northwest and South India that we'll be discussing ahead. We discussed about the importance of numismatics as a crucial element for postmodern chronology and acceptance and further confluence of Indian cultures with foreign rulers. Discussing about question and answer, The first question is discuss the Indo-Greeks concerning Menander. Well, we can start this answer by discussing how Menander was one of the most successful and the only ruler to have made appearance in the Indian literature. It's actually a kind of big thing. And not only that, a lot of Latin and Greek sources only refer to Menander because of his important contributions as well as the expansion of rule. After that, we can also talk about how Indo-Greeks came into existence because they are telling about discuss the Indo-Greeks concerning Menander. Of course, we'll have to discuss Indo-Greeks and their polity as well as how their expansion happened, but with the main focus on Menander and also how his wife as well as his son helped him control the regions that were really far, especially Gandhara, focusing on Gandhara. Other than that, we'll be discussing about who were the Western Kshatripas, discuss their main features. We just finished the discussion of Kshatripas and how they were divided into two different lineages, or you can say important families, of which the first one that we were discussing about the Shaharatas, of which Nahapana was one of the most important ruler because he was the one who expanded and he was the only one who is actually mentioned in different inscriptions. Other than that, we can discuss about the Kadambaka family and the availability of two different inscriptions, one by Rudradaman I's daughter and the other by Rudradaman I himself, the Junagadh inscription, which is a very important inscription and will be also helping in the evidence search of further ruling dynasties. Also remember to mention all the contributions done by Rudradaman.